Welcome back, everyone. I would request everyone to please come and sit in front, if possible. Now we will start with the second session. So before starting, I will request Sandeep bhai to please give the introduction of the second speaker.
Welcome back. It's a privilege, thank you Ravi, to introduce our second speaker of the session, Mr. Kunal Nikumbh. He is an associate partner in a GST practice in a Mumbai office of our well-known firm of Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan. He is an associate member with the Institute of Chartered Accountant and is enrolled with the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. Kunal has been associated with the LKS since 2015, assisting clients on several matters relating to indirect taxes. Before introduction of GST, he has worked extensively in other branches of indirect taxations such as the central excise and service tax, including the issues relating to classification of the products and the valuation of goods and services. Presently, he is a part of a GST advisory practice in Mumbai and has advised diverse set of clients including many multinational companies and listed domestic companies in resolving the complex GST issues faced by them. During the initial phase of GST, he has worked on a structuring of tax compliant business model for the clients and advised clients on the transition issues. His areas of expertise includes the application to the authority for the advance ruling of Maharashtra and appellate advance ruling authority, advising the clients in structuring most tax efficient business model, representation on behalf of the industry association to on several key issues to GST councils, hand-holding support to the clients during the investigation conducted by the investigation agencies such as DGGI. He has worked closely with Mr. V. Sridharan, senior advocate for the Bombay High Court on multiple matters under indirect tax. Before joining Lakshmi Kumar and Sridharan, Kunal was worked with SR Batlipo and Company LLP in their audit practice in Mumbai. Please welcome him. And I will request Ravi to present a memento on behalf of the BCC Study Circle. And also request Bijal to please give a receipt of the BCS Benevolent Fund. Over to you, Kunal. You can start your session. Thank you.
I'm audible, right? Clearly? Okay, thank you. So let me start with an apology first. I know because I had been allotted a session which was in the second half. So usually me being lazy, I took the liberty of coming an hour late. I took the liberty of thinking that the other session will start on time. So ideally if two sessions were scheduled and for some reason one person could not come, I should have been there to start the session. So I'll apologize for that. And second thing, I'll thank all the committee members, board members for inviting me here, having me here to discuss this so highly contended topic and all these changes that have come. So I completely agree with Aditya ji in the sense that the manner in which the reforms have been pushed. According to me, all the reforms, the intention behind the changes, etc., seems to be the perfect one. It has been passed with the intention of putting more money in the hands of the ultimate consumer, like just like the benefits that were served under income tax by changing the slabs and overall reform that has been brought. So GST also, they wanted to drive the economy, drive the consumption, domestic consumption, and the central theme behind this reforms was this. But for some reason, the manner in which or the speed in which they are being implemented, I am very certain a lot of practicing chartered accountants from the fraternity are facing a very difficult time handling client queries and filing returns, etc. Already a lot of returns are there in GST. Along with this, a lot of this has been pushed into. So I fully appreciate and echo the sentiments which the earlier speaker communicated. What I'll cover in this session, so the earlier session was quite technical, quite intricate. All the notifications that have been come, all the FAQs that have been come, I think most of them have been discussed. To some extent, there may be repetition of the slides from the earlier presentation, earlier session. I'll try to skip those slides and run fast through them. I'll not spend more time on those issues. If I find something is to be added to any of the topics discussed in earlier session, I'll throw light on that. Otherwise, I'll avoid spending more time or repeating those topics. Once again. So my area or my focus will be more on giving understanding of practical aspects or what experience I have had in the last 10, 15 days speaking to client, what are the problems they have been facing in the industry. So I'll not deal much with technicalities or with the rate per se as what has come down, what has gone up. A lot of it has been already covered in the first session, and quite honestly, like he said, there are so many notifications coming and notifications circular being issued that I must have even missed some notifications to be included. I was worrying that what if some notifications I don't remember, but at a time came in the afternoon that I thought कि मैं laptop बंद करके उधर जाऊंगा उतने में और 2 circulars आ जाएंगे. So let's not worry about it, whatever I have done. So the slides may also have some data starting from when committee had recommended and then we were awaiting rate notifications. Those slides might be there, so just kindly excuse those portions. So we'll start with the broad idea. I'll not dwell much deeper into this. This is broadly what is the idea behind these kind of changes, this GST rate changes. So मोदी जी का फोटो मैंने अभी बाद में डाला है, आज के changes किए तभी. Let me give you a short, I'll just on a lighter note. In fact, when I was listening to Aditya ji, he made a comment that Modi ji has a knack of theatrics. So I will not make any such statements because making such statement especially in Kandivali and Borivali area, that will be fully fraught with risk. Why I put Modi ji's picture on my first slide was, so I reached Borivali quite early today. I also face the same traffic situation. I have my father-in-law, mother-in-law staying in Borivali. So I reached there at 4 o'clock. There is a small temple in their society. I went there. I removed my shoes outside and some dog were playing there. Some dog took one shoe and he ran away. So suddenly now my entire focus from attending the session was gone to my shoes. That's the reason I've removed the shoes. Those are temporary arrangement. I am thinking now what to do. Should I wear one shoe and I go one like barefoot, or I wear chappals and go? I don't wear shoes at all. So I'm slightly worried about all those things standing in that temple. And suddenly I realize and I look at my father-in-law and he is more stressed than me. Now I need not explain that sensitivity between a father-in-law, son-in-law relationship. You are very, very well aware about that. So उनका embarrassment कि मेरे society में दामाद जी का shoes कोई लेके गया, अभी what to do? So he is in bigger stress. Now when I realized suddenly that he is getting stressed or worried about this, I in turn was stressed because this need not be mentioned that if for some reason husband is the reason for stress behind his father-in-law, then there needs to be some serious repercussions. So it was a very peculiar situation where both of us were concerned now, and very casually he said कि जाने दो कुणाल, वैसे भी मोदी जी ने अभी फुटवेयर का जो रेट है ना 18% से 5% कर दिया है 2500 के नीचे, तो अभी आप टेंशन मत लो, नया ले लो करके, वैसे भी वो पुराना हो गया था. So what I want to highlight here is see the connection, see the way in which the message has reached even a person who is in his late 60s. He has absolutely no connection with CA fraternity or law fraternity. He doesn't know any intricacies of GST. But वो एक जो first day पे वो एक template release हुआ था, which everyone, I think most of you would have seen on WhatsApp statuses of everybody, what rate have come down, what rates have gone up. And that marketing or that communication by ministry, by all channels, CBIC, etc., has been so clear that even a common person has taken a note of what has gone up, what has gone down. And the purpose also behind these changes is not to benefit someone who is wealthy, filthy rich. The purpose is to benefit the common man, most of the poor class, lower middle class. That is somewhere where the government is targeting. So I thought, because my father-in-law has such a imprinted memory because of Modi ji's photo on that status, I'll also have Modi ji's photo on the first slide so that my presentation is also well received by everyone. So next is, this is what I just mentioned. What is the intention? Focus on direct impact is there. Common man or a lower class, which is getting covered under farmers, health, agriculture, all they are supporting. Labor intensive industries are being supporting. In order to sum up, boost the domestic consumption is the tagline behind these changes. This is a brief snapshot of what rates have gone into what category. For example, if you see drug, medical devices, etc., which were earlier at 12%, now they have moved into either of 5% bracket. Then insurance, if you see earlier it was 18%. Life and health have now moved into nil rated goods. So these are something that I have tried to create as to which rates have come up, which rates have gone down. You'll see that from one bracket there has been movement either into 5% or 18%, something which was at 12%. So let us not dwell much into this. What is the purpose, where they were hitting with all these rate changes? So the message was very clear that they want to give a bonus to everyone during Diwali. So what is that a common man purchases during Diwali? What is it that he is looking for? All these things like hair oil, toilet soap bar, we just heard about it, shampoo, toothbrushes, bicycle for kids, medicines are there, food items are there. These are generally, so this is not items that you require for Diwali per se, but items which are generally consumed at our household level. That is where they are intending to create the maximum impact. Now, before I go to sectoral issues of each sector, there are n number of issues in each and every sector. I'll try to pick one issue from each sector so that it doesn't get, we don't get carried away in respect of time. So this is a snapshot of the news articles sometime back where you must have read that a lot of notices were slapped on top tier FMCG companies or other retailers, so to say. Even in the press briefing that happened after the rate changes, the Revenue Secretary mentioned that we had received close to 700 complaints under anti-profiteering. So anti-profiteering, in simple terms, you are aware that when companies have received benefit of rate reduction, they should pass it on to the ultimate consumer. If that is not being done, anti-profiteering provisions under GST kick in. So all these complaints were there, and you can see huge amount of penalties, 186 crores, 383 crores, 100 crores rate cut benefit has not been passed on to customers. All these headlines were making way throughout these times. So why I'm showing this? I'm not showing this to scare anyone. Let us understand what is this anti-profiting, where it comes from. So there is this one particular section in the Act. Let's not go into details or intricacies of it. All I want to highlight is, we just saw slides in the earlier section that it talks about, the section is the one that operative part is dealt in section, subsection 1. It says any reduction in tax has to be passed on by way of commensurate reduction in prices. It is very clear. The other subsection was subsection 2, which allowed government to notify the authority which will hear the complaints, and then they added the proviso later on to say they can provide a sunset clause also, जिसमें अभी वो अप्रैल से complaints लेना बंद कर दिया. That was by virtue of that proviso. So the main section, section 171, that is the section that says that you must pass on the benefit, commensurate benefit in terms of prices. The notification that was issued under the second subsection, and the cancellation was under the proviso. So it is not a case that the section has been written off from books. Okay, so the power to ask or to catch someone for not passing on the benefit is still there. It's only a matter of time or matter of question whether they will bring any mechanism to do that. What I heard during the council briefing also, recommendation briefing also, and subsequently when if you have heard interviews of Sanjay Ji, Kumar Agrawal and other commissionerates, everyone has been saying that you need to pass on the benefit. This is done with the intention of passing on the benefit. And what I said in the first slide, that common man has been communicated by the top order that these benefits have been introduced for you. So intention in the entire hierarchy, right from the Prime Minister to Revenue Secretary at ministry level and all the field formations, is that you need to pass on the benefit. So although presently the mechanism to complaint to the anti-profiteering authority, etc., is not been there, to assume that nothing will happen or we are within the permits of law if I don't pass on the benefit, if that is the intention with which the client comes to you, you need to tell him that you need to be a little bit cautious. The reason is exactly this. And they are relying, we have had statements from Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman saying that we trust that now companies will fall in line. Last 700 plus cases have happened, and now we trust that people will pass on the benefit. And then later statement came that we personally will look into it after, once it is implemented after 22nd September, we'll look into it if someone is not passing on the benefit. So what comes up in future is not known at this stage, but it has to be taken into account that you must pass on the benefit. To think that legally we are not required to do it will be an overstatement according to me. So how do you pass on the benefit? We in the earlier slide we saw, they say by way of commensurate reduction in prices. So how do you determine? Because if you see the Delhi High Court itself in this paragraph that I have extracted, they have said that firstly the section is silent about what is to be passed on, how much is to be passed on. They say commensurate reduction has to be passed on. Methodology has not been prescribed. There is no special notification circular doing that. High Court, when it was dealing with this case of Rekit Benkisar, they said there is no one particular formula, no one mathematical fixed formula is given, no one size fits all. You have to see on industry to industry basis, case to case basis, and arrive at how to arrive at that computation of that figure. And legislature has the full authority to give that interpretation, that what is the benefit to be passed on. Someone will say if insurance policies have come down from, let's say, 12% to 0%. So pass on the 12% benefit in prices to the consumers. Would that be a correct thing to say? Because although tax on output side has been brought down to nil for insurance companies, they incur huge amount of expenses in marketing spends for distributors, etc., on which there is no exemption from GST. So they are incurring cost on the input side in terms of taxes. They have paid input tax to their suppliers. Earlier they used to get that as credit when they used to pay output tax. Now that credit is a cost for them. So they will certainly argue benefit accruing to me tax rate going down is one side, that my prices are getting reduced. But at the same time, when I decide my premiums, when actual valuation is done for deciding premiums, I'll have to factor in the cost of dead credit now that I'm not going to get. So for them, the price benefit is not going to be 12%. It's going to be much lesser than that. And courts will accept that. It is not a case that courts will disregard that no rate has been come down. Court will accept that because they have taken a view earlier that no industry will be similar. Industry to industry, this manner of deriving how price benefit has to be derived, that will change. So this is one aspect we'll have to keep in mind and very wary when we advise all our clients. Now this is just one example that I had taken to show the benefit in prices. What is the essence is, if the earlier the MRP at 18% was say 150, 133, selling price is 100, GST at 18% comes to this, GST at 5% should be 105. So it should not happen that even after the price reduction, someone is charging 118 rupees only to customer, and he says by reverse calculation, say 7 rupees is towards GST at 5%, remaining 112, 110 is towards my value. That should not happen. Whatever value, base value, the supplier will retain in his hand, that should be at least same as the earlier base value on which he was discharging tax. That is called as not profiteering by yourself. If you get even 1 rupee more net of taxes, even 1 rupee more than what you were getting earlier, it doesn't matter, the consumer is paying the same. That is exactly what they don't want. Consumer needs to pay lesser if the rate is going down. So even 1 rupee more in your pocket than what you were earlier getting, net of output and input, that is going to be called as you're profiteering yourself by way of government's rate reduction, and that is going to get you in trouble. So, yeah. Yeah. Sir, that's, no, that's just, okay. No, I should have clarified. Actually, it's my mistake. I'm not selling at 150. MRP is the maximum retail price. I have sold at 100 only. My margin might be, I have not given margin or cost structure in this. So MRP, whatever is shown in Flipkart, say MRP is 5,000, but we buy the shoes at 2,500. So I'm referring to 2,500 is the 100 rupee in this example. Earlier also my base value was 100. Now also my base value is 100. So if the rate is going down, the final consumer price should look like this last column, is what I wanted to display. Let us not consider that MRP column exists in this example at all. The actual price which I have made the sale is this 100. So if you have to go by margin, yes, I may have to bring my margin down in some cases, not in all cases. The crux is that you should not profiteer out of this. So what I was trying to point by this example is, I cannot have an option of keeping the price under the new rate also. Consumer price cannot be 118, and you reverse calculate on that 5 rupees tax. That 5 rupee I will pay to 5% I will pay to government, and the balance I will pocket it, which will be certainly more than 100 rupees. So it will come to some 111 point something. That cannot be the case. So that 150 or 133 cannot be seen as margin for this example. So I think I missed clarifying that. Only related to the rate of tax. Whatever reduction is happening by way of the rate of tax, that should pass on in terms of the price to the customer. That will not happen 21st September to 22nd September, no? So एक दिन में price बदलने लग गए तो फिर हो गया. Yeah, that is possible. That's what the statement exactly meant when Nirmala Sitharaman said that we will look into the cases, these kind of cases, because this is not a matter of something. Every month returns are being filed. Uh, I don't know whether everyone caught that point when Aditya ji said that they have issued a circular where they have asked field formation to collect data for the next coming 6 months to monitor the prices and even the prices that were just existing before this rate change. So if there are some price change, that will be easily come into account, and that kind of practice will be certainly treated as a mala-fide practice. In fact, the next slide I think will deal more accurately with what you are trying to say. Not exactly, but I've tried to present a case out here. Some figures, etc. If don't align, please don't catch me mathematically, because this is an evolving PPT which has been, we are preparing for a week or so. So let us take a case of the sale 1, 2, 3 is kind of the prices that you are mentioning, that I am selling my products at different prices just before 22nd September. I'll tell you what is happening practically. What situation you gave us, that people will increase the prices just before September, that is not happening. In practical terms, उल्टा हो रहा है. रिलायंस रिटेल को चिंता ये है कि लोग सब 22 सितंबर के बाद खरीदी करने आएंगे. People are not going to malls because they are thinking GST benefit is coming after 22nd. They are not aware about any inverted duty structure happening, any credit cost, anything becoming cost in the hand of supplier. They are not aware about that. मोदी जी ने बोला है प्राइस नीचे आएगा तो जूता सस्ता मिलेगा after 22nd. This is if my father-in-law can have this etched in his mind, and he is from well-to-do family, so imagine, listen about. आप मेरा बात कर रहे हो? मैं इसके प्रिपरेशन की वजह से आज जाने वाला था मैं, बट आई डिड नॉट. So what situation is happening in the market is exactly opposite of what you have said. Both can happen, but no sane businessman, no person will want a scenario that just a week before Navratri, which is the end of season, this big billion day season sale, etc. No one wants to bring their sales down. Everybody is wanting to push their sale for the next. Rather, this एक point से देखा जाए तो for professionals like us, it is good that this didn't came in Diwali. वरना दिवाली छोड़ के हम लोग ये कर रहे होते थे, सारे PPT बनाओ या returns change करो. It came. Which case you are saying? That cases, that will happen, but that is the exact reason for which they have said that they will monitor prices, and these are the kind of cases which then later on go to, as in the earlier round of litigations, it went to Napa and all these are matters of dispute. So these are exceptional cases. Generally what is now happening, so I am restricting myself to this example because I am trying to paint that picture before you of consumer-based consumption goods. So if let's say there are just before 22nd September to drive sales, a person has sold product at 3 different prices. So the last column is the consumer price. Before that is the discount that has been shown in brackets, 20 rupees, 15 rupees, 25 rupees. Basis that your net selling price is changing, varying, going up and down. And the ultimate price that consumer is paying, if you see, sometimes it's 94.4, 100, 88, and maximum some retailer might be selling it at 118, that is full price also. Now the question is, for these kind of situations, people are thinking, how do I know what is the price, which price I have to keep at base? Because the earlier example that we saw, it was a very clear-cut example. 100 rupees earlier it was there, I had to keep at 100 rupee. Now when I have given 3 types of discount in last 3 weeks, which price can be treated as I am profiteering? So मैं कोई बोलेगा कि 95 भी अगर मैंने रख दिया consumer price after the rate reduction, someone will say it is more than this 94.4, you are doing profit here. He will not look at this sale number 2, where the price was 100. He will not look at the maximum sale scenario in which I was selling at 118. He was selling in this second week, 9th September से लेके 19th September तक आपने 94 पे बेचा था. उससे आपका ज़्यादा प्राइस कैसे हो गया जब रेट रिडक्शन हुआ? So there is no, like I said, there is no perfect one formula given every industry and every scenario. When I pointed out an example, he immediately came up with cement and steel sector, which will not face this kind of scenario. So every industry will have different logic or working to arrive at what will be the base price, where they will not be said to be profiteering. According to, in this particular scenario, one way of doing it will be to compute the average discounts for the last 1 month or 2 months that you have been giving, come at an average price that you were selling. That average price, if you have matched it, if that commensurate rate reduction is given in terms of that average price calculated for last 3 months or 3 weeks of discount, that can give you reasonable grounds to argue if some dispute comes in future. Again, I am saying reasonable grounds to argue because I don't want to give you an answer, yes, average price for last 3 months is okay, average price for last 3 weeks is okay. I am not in a position to say that because no legal provision is there to ascertain that. So this is, no sir, nothing like that. No. Case based things will be picked up. Yeah, assessing officer, and you should be able to trace it also. They know which are the areas where there is going to be problems. All these things, these are a matter of adjudication, and revenue officers are very well trained in finding. No sir. Threshold will be there, field formations will be informed that don't pick cases beyond this amount, etc., because they don't want to disturb the machinery also. But as such, any amount, unless and something is notified that let's in public domain that above, because no one wants to let away people go making 50 crores as profit by way of anti-profiteering. So that is, internally trade circulars may be passed from the CBIC chairman to the officers operating, that we might be coming to know, might not be coming to know. It's not a matter of yeah. So 50 crores for someone like HUL will not be a bigger amount, but for someone of a say small cap company, that 50 crores is a huge amount of profiteering done by them. So I don't think turnover limit of that threshold will be there. Now one problem that is coming out, like just during the break also, Aditya ji was mentioning that he received a update that one of the big companies in the market has taken a call to reduce their packet of cookies from say 10 rupees to not reduce the price. They are trying to maintain their price of the cookies at the same 10 rupee per packet. They will so instead of reducing the grammage, they will make slightly say 9.47 or 9.37 reduction in the price, and the quantity which was there in that package will continue to remain the same. So effectively what they are doing is they have reduced the price, net quantity remains the same. Let's say I want to take a scenario where I'll say that I don't want to make it 9.47. कोई पे करने आएगा तो पे कैसे करेगा? 50 पैसा आजकल कोई कैरी करता नहीं है. If you go by Indian Coinage Act, the least amount of currency that is being recognized today is 50 paise. You are allowed to keep price denominations in 0.50. 0.33, 0.34 Coinage Act will not, that is not treated as currency as per Coinage Act, 0.34 paise. So I am saying I don't want to make my price as 9.23 rupees, 9.47 rupee, if that is the actual commensurate reduction in my prices because of tax rate. So what I will do, I will keep that cookies pack constant at price of 10 rupee, and I will increase the weight of the product inside. I will increase the weight in grammage basically, that I will add to the packet. So some industries are there in which, let me tell you very frankly, there is not possible to do any price reduction. Like biscuits or small chocolates which are already worth 1 rupee. उसमें कुछ भी benefit अगर pass on करना है तो I have to reduce the price in terms for the same size of the chocolate. I have to reduce it to 0.76, 0.77. That is not going to be possible. Now, what we have seen is during the last rounds of litigation in FMCG companies, in these other products, packaged commodities product, it looks very nice now when we are discussing kitna pass on karna hai, kitna pass on nahi karna hai, 0.5 rakhna hai, nahi rakhna hai. When the litigation starts, when you have to actually respond to notices, when you have to face the authorities, it's a very tough job, 100 times more tough than taking these decisions at this level, and therefore it is very significant what to plan at this stage. So all the companies who have faced litigations earlier, FMCG clients that we had, they don't want to take a single chance of risk. I think maybe because that's the reason only that company also took the call of reducing price to in some fractional amounts. Correct. So what they're contending is I'll keep that benefit of 5 rupee only. Instead of biscuit, I'm adding chocolate to that price. Yeah. So see, now this same example, how can this be used by the company? Company will say, boss, you asked me to do commensurate reduction in prices. I've done it from 5 rupee to 4.73. Department will come and say, wait 1 minute. You are, when a customer is coming, is he paying you 4.73 at the retail shop? You'll say, yes. So what is he getting? He is getting a packet of biscuit at 4 point something, 4.3 rupees, 4 rupees. Along with that, you are giving him one chocolate of 0.60. So effectively, again, that comes to the same circle that you have not reduced prices. You have done some malpractice because of which you have added some quantity to the same price. There will be certain grounds that company will take in this situation, but these disputes are bound to happen. And like that was a very practical example. If stock of some multiple crores is lying with me across my plants over India on 3rd September, and I did not know what was going to come out, if my rate product was going to come down, not going to come down. I could not have stopped production a week before that. So company had to take a commercial call that we will go ahead with this. And what experience we are having from clients from similar sectors is they don't want litigation at all. उनको वो बोल रहे कि I want to reduce my prices even it is in terms of few paise. Let that product be sold by the retailer at the earlier price. 5 rupee biscuit packet, let him sell it at 5 rupee. I am not concerned. I don't want litigation at my end. एंटी प्रॉफिटियरिंग प्रोविजंस ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ मैन्युफैक्चरर को अप्लाई होगा, रिटेलर को नहीं होगा, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को नहीं होगा. एप्लीकेशन इज टू एवरी सप्लायर हु इज रजिस्टर्ड अंडर जीएसटी. बट इज डिपार्टमेंट गोइंग टू गो एंड कैच होल्ड ऑफ अ किराना वाला, वो भरो 5,000 रुपये पिछला महीना प्रॉफिटियरिंग हो गया, वो अभी भरो हमको. नो वन इज गोइंग टू डू दैट. बट एज लॉन्ग एज मैन्युफैक्चरर हैज डन हिज पार्ट by reducing the prices and communicating it down through the customer chain, they are free from that risk of litigation. They are saying, let the retailer profiteer if he is profiteering. We don't want to face litigation. This attitude was not there in when GST had just gotten introduced and there was first round of rate reductions, etc. This attitude we had not seen in clients at that time. Now, because they have faced litigations and they have had an fair bit of experience that what rulings high courts have given, after that no one is now ready to take any sort of risk. That is some insight from industry that I bring, and that is what I wanted to share it in addition to whatever was discussed earlier. So these are just some headlines that were referring to that particular scenario, that FMCG companies are offering more for the same price, etc. But all these practices might get questioned in the future, because again the same decision that I referred earlier, if you see the highlighted portion, such a mandate, that mandate like this mandate of price benefit being passed on, such a mandate cannot be tampered with by the supplier by substituting the benefit in the form of reduction of actual prices with any other form such as increase in volume or weight. So it's very clear, there is no ambiguity here, whether I can pass it in form of grammage or not. And this is a High Court order, and there are no, these decision has been followed in a lot of other cases which has simply replicated these findings. There is nothing to contrary to this. But having said that, there will be clients for whom it is just not possible to only pass on commensurate benefit in prices. Take it in writing from me. It is not going to be possible for each and everyone. So there will be a lot of disputes. You will have clients asking a lot of questions to you on this aspect. You'll be need to be very careful and aware about earlier rounds of litigation as to what has happened. Inverted, yeah, please go ahead. I'm remembered about that one scene from that Tanu Weds Manu or some movie where some lady from that crowd asks a question to that guy who is pretending to be doctor, and he tries to pretend of a heart attack saying that I don't know the answer, and he falls down. So I honestly, very, I have very little in the last 10 years, because I have been practicing in, especially into indirect tax and only from legal side. I have not had good exposure from accounting aspect to a lot of scenarios. I hardly remember any of the accounting standards, to be very honest. But to answer your question, I think what your concern was that if I reduce grammage, if I pass on the benefit by way of grammage, my cost, in my cost sheet, the cost is going to go up, right? Because for the same price, now I am going to give additional quantity of that product. So as I understand, with a plain logic, it's a clear hit on my margins as a businessman, correct? Because no problem. So I don't know, because even after you pass discounts, it is still going, you're still burning your cash, right? So the ultimate effect still comes to, in that case, instead of some 10-gram package which you were earlier giving, 10 grams chocolate, if you have to give 12 grams, your cost sheet becomes heavy at the raw material end, the first part of the cost sheet that I don't remember how many years back I studied that. So that, once that becomes heavy, the other variable cost will increase in the same proportion. Fixed cost remains the same. So the hit ultimately, according to my understanding, is on margins. GST का उसमें इतना कोई बड़ा खेल है नहीं, जो भी नीचे आपका बेस प्राइस आएगा उसमें आप मार्जिन जितना आपको रखना है, either before discount or after discount, basis of what practice is that operational that time. So ultimate effect of that grammage increase is going to be margin, क्योंकि कस्टमर से तो पहले 5 रुपये मिल रहा था, आज भी 5 ही रुपये मिलेगा. आपके एंड से मटेरियल इनपुट इज increased, so it's a clear hit on margins. So that's the only plausible answer that I can think of. Correct. नहीं सर, उसमें ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. एज इन लेट्स डाइग्रेस अ लिटिल बिट अवे फ्रॉम दीज बिस्किट एक्सेट्रा एग्जाम्पल. लेट्स मूव टू सम हैवी गुड्स विच आर गोइंग टू बर्न होल इन योर पॉकेट्स, लाइक AC. कार्स थोड़ा सर और कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, मैं कार्स को अलग से सेक्टर्स में डील करता हूँ. लेट्स टेक अ केस ऑफ AC. ओके, AC वॉज फेसिंग 28% टैक्स, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. Substantial reduction in rates now. If you are giving me a scenario that say Chroma had an Samsung AC displayed at their store, which earlier they had received with a higher tax rate. There, it is not possible for a store like Chroma or for any retailer to hold back that inventory, take new inventory and then sell that new inventory, etc. They will have to take that hit of price cut in GST. Rather, people have started selling at prices which will be there after that rate cut has been implemented even today. If you go to any shop, you will see boards saying GST price live now karke. You will see it running in all the major retailers. Some retailers, I myself, we are advising, so we know that is already live. So that per se will not be a problem of retailer. What we are seeing is that will be a problem from manufacturers end or distributors end, because retailers are not going to bear that cost now. They are going to ask the manufacturers to pay that cost by way of credit note, etc. Where those questions which we discussed earlier, that what will be the rate at which credit note will be given, वगैरह, those practical questions are going to come in this scenario. कोई भी retailer आज ऐसा नहीं कर सकता कि जो stock पड़ा है उसको मैंने higher rate पे लिया है, I'll not move that inventory. That is not possible because working capital is blocked on that stock. वर्किंग कैपिटल फंसेगा प्लस उनको भी तो कस्टमर को प्राइस कम करके देना है. सो मनी इज स्टक बट मार्जिन कम नहीं करेगा. So you are perceiving only there will be blockage in terms of working capital because of capital being blocked at higher rate of tax. Correct. Correct. 2-3 महीने लगेगा, but that option of holding stock is certainly not there with these retailers. Yes, perfect. Inverted rate structure has its own problems, which FAQs, etc. we have seen that they are not treating same product as inverted rated structure. That is correct. So if the revenue goes up and my business goes up, and because of that the net amount of profit that gets reflected is more, that looks good on balance sheet. But on product basis, each product, you have to pass on the price benefit. That there is no question. That what you are highlighting is the rate reduction might be there, but in terms of the growth that the business is going to drive because of the rates coming down is going to be much more than that. Some period of time that my interest cost will be there. Correct. So inverted duty. Okay, I'll go ahead. So inverted duty structure, I think we have seen in the earlier session a lot of it, so I'll not repeat those issues again, because these are again those same issues whether credit of capital goods, services is going to be. Yes. He will not sell at the same price, no, now. Price plus GST was 10,000 earlier. It included 28% of GST. नहीं वो तो छोड़ दो फिर, वो तो उस, हाँ, दैट इज व्हाट एग्जांपल वी सॉ, नो, ही हैज टू मेंटेन इट टू 10,000. बेस वैल्यू शुड बी द सेम इन योर हैंड, एटलीस्ट सेम. आपको कम करना है आप कम करो, वो आपका लुकआउट है वो. यस यस यस, करेक्ट. So inverted duty structure we will skip. We will see it in some sectoral impacts that we see if it comes there. Otherwise routine questions, everyone is aware that service ka credit nahi milega, you have to only consider inputs. One question that we are getting a lot on inverted duty structure that I'll only address for a moment. FAQs and all have said that that same trading product we will not treat at inverted duty structure, etc. Honestly, I've not gone through all the FAQs, let me be very frank, because you will see n number of FAQs which are already there, and government has taken exactly opposite position. Rather FAQs, when earlier it was issued and when Twitter releases were made when GST was introduced in 17, they themselves gave a disclosure that this cannot be treated as interpretation of any legal provision, this is only for your guidance. So very honestly, I'll not go by any FAQ. If legally your reasoning supports a particular case, yes, that will be treated as an inverted duty structure, I'll say you take that position. One question that we are getting asked a lot in this inverted duty structure is the confusion that is there in the industry with respect to that 90% refund being given on risk assessment basis. Someone was mentioning how they will calculate whether that refund will be automatic, etc., etc. So that 90% refund on risk assessment basis, please note that there is no change in the eligibility criteria with respect to your refund of inverted duty structure. What is only changing is the process by which they are going to grant refund. So there is not going to be a case कि पहले input services के credit का वो net ITC के formula में नहीं ले सकते थे, अभी उसको ले सकते, 90% at least service का credit मिल जाएगा. That confusion is there in minds of client. That is not changing anywhere. So that remains the same. Now I've discussed this anti-profiteering measures, etc. Before going on to each sectors, I'll just want to touch upon how are these companies, especially for packaged commodities, how will these people implement rate changes to the customer. We have studied everywhere commensurate rate in prices, commensurate rate in prices. What is the impact of that? So let us say some packaged commodities are there. Let us take the same example of biscuit only that we had taken. Say that biscuit has an MRP of 10 rupee. Now, because it's a packaged commodity, legal metrology packaged commodities rules apply. In Legal Metrology Act, there is a provision that when tax rate goes down or tax rate goes up, they give an option to the manufacturer or the packer to revise the MRP. So अगर 10 रुपए के प्रोडक्ट पैकेट के प्रोडक्ट का से GST इम्पैक्ट की वजह से रेट कम होके उसका भी MRP बनने वाला है 8 रुपया, बिकॉज MRP इज टैक्स इंक्लूसिव, राइट? इफ टैक्स रेट इज गोइंग डाउन द प्राइस हैज टू कम डाउन, इट कैनॉट बी द केस दैट इट विल रिमेन सेम. सो 10 रुपए का अगर 8 रुपया हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ रेट रिडक्शन, रूल 6 will give you the leeway to change the MRP. They say MRP may be affixed without covering the original MRP. Notification has also come from LM Metrology Act that they said we will permit you to change the MRP, just that the original MRP should not be tampered with. Then there is no mandate. Why I have highlighted may is because it's optional. It is not mandating you. Rule 18 is there, which is a obligation on manufacturer, retailer, distributor, mainly on distributors, retailers, and dealers, to say that you will not sell any product over and above what MRP manufacturer has printed or revised. And therefore, when rate goes down, they put an obligation on the same rule, Rule 18. They put an obligation on the manufacturer, because we don't want dealer to sell at a higher price. You communicate to these dealers by way of appropriate trade circulars that the price has come down and MRP should be this, even if you cannot affix the new MRP on the product. So everyone is now facing a question, especially in packaged commodities, may it be biscuits, may it be your carbonated drinks, any product. So people have huge amount of inventories lying at their warehouse, depots, their own factories. It may be a case that products are manufactured, not packed yet, but packing material तो बन के पड़ा हुआ है आज मेरे फैक्ट्री में. उसका क्या करेंगे? उस पर तो MRP आ रहा है, वो पहले वाला आ रहा है. I was not aware that my product was going to get, there was going to be a rate reduction, and there is huge amount of stock not lying at a single premises. If you have dealt with multiple industry, you very well know that the packing, the last leg of it, the packing activity, etc. in most products happens at the last leg, just when it is to be delivered to the dealers or distributor. At distributors go down is where these activities generally take place. Manufacturing में तो bulk में बन के निकलता है, वहाँ पे आगे जाके जहाँ पे packing small batches में करना होता है, that happens at those depots and those distributor godowns, warehouses, and there is stock lying now with old prices. So what is to be done? So the ministry themselves came up with PC rules notification. First notification came on 9th, second one came just recently. In the first one they said we will permit you to revise the MRP. Till when? Till 30th December. So they exercise the powers of Rule 33 under LM rules, packaged commodity rules. They allowed to revise the price till 31st December. Some conditions were given that original MRP should not be changed. Difference should only be commensurate with the rise or decrease in the GST rate. Then advertisement needs to be published कि ये product मेरा कम price हो गया है. All these conditions were mentioned. Now tell me, a person who is selling Voltas AC, let's say Tata, he can still give an advertising paper saying that Voltas AC 2 tons, this particular model, Bluefin model of Voltas AC 2 ton, earlier priced at 50,000 rupees, now GST new GST price effective today is this. An advertise can be simply given. अभी बिरला फैशन हो गया या आपका रिलायंस फैशन हो गया जो कपड़े बेचते हैं मार्केट में, रेड स्ट्राइप का शर्ट ऐसे स्ट्राइप है और ऐसे स्ट्राइप है, ये दो शर्ट में कैसे कोई पब्लिकेशन देगा एडवर्टाइजमेंट का कि दिस प्राइस इज कम डाउन फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर शर्ट, या जेब वाला शर्ट, बिना जेब का शर्ट, कार्गो पैंट्स, जीन्स पैंट. इट्स जस्ट नॉट पॉसिबल टू डिफाइन SKUs in fashion industries, FMCG industries. There are n number of products. So it's very challenging to advertise each and every product. So the notification that came out on 18th, they specifically, firstly they clarified their earlier notification. Everywhere they have clarified it that rules, पहले तो condition mandatory नहीं बना था आपको MRP affix करना है. It is only optional. So the example that we took about goods lying in warehouses, etc., there it's only optional for the packer or manufacturer that they have clarified that you may reduce the MRP. But if you are not reducing the MRP, earlier they said you still have to advertise it. Now that condition about advertisement also they are letting go with. So you need not advertise in the product, etc. But they are still saying you sensitize your chain down the line and tell all the dealers and retailers, because price of this product has come down now. Give them a print of trade circular, your notice, etc., whichever is there. Write prices against that products which you have, which that dealer is selling further in the market, and ask them to comply with that. Once that is done, there should be a sufficient compliance in the hands of all these players, because these are some practical issues that we are seeing, and there is no answer to all this. This is a slide which says that which point in time, which rate we have to choose. That we have already discussed in earlier session. This is what was mentioned, that you have to see either of the two incidents are before the price cut or after the price cut. So I'm not going much into this because I want to cover some sectors before we close the session. So I'll come to automobiles now. So what is the rate, what has come down, what has gone up, what has been 5% का difference है, EV उतने पे ही है, EV के part ज़्यादा है. I'm not going much into those areas. One practical aspect that I want to discuss about the automobile sectors and the issues that we have seen in last 10 days is, there are stock lying with dealers, and what figure was mentioned, 2,500 crores or something is the compensation cess amount involved that has been paid, that has on the stocks that has been lying with dealers now. So since compensation cess credit cannot be offset against the output liability of the same cess, and if cess is done away with going forward after 22nd, there is no notification solving that issue of compensation cess. If anyone from you have dealt with textile sectors earlier, so I think August 18 or something, 2018 August, earlier inverted duty structure problem, etc., which was there, in list of that, textile sector was not being given any benefit. Later on they modified that. They said for textile also where there is inverted duty structure, we'll allow the refund. But for the accumulated credit that was there for the past period before August 2018, they did not allow refund of that. That credit was made to lapse. So there are arguments, companies have taken an argument that credit is my right, credit is my substantial right, it cannot be lapsed, etc., etc. There have been cases on the other side also to say that credit is only a concession given to you. That is, government or the legislature will decide how credit will be allowed and how it will be allowed to be utilized. If government comes up with a notification saying that this will be lapsed, it shall not be your prerogative to fight for it, saying that this is my substantial right and it cannot be lapsed. For compensation cess also, there can be this similar situation now. As frightening as it looks, that itna sara amount bhar ke baitha hai dealer. Now already major OEMs have already declared, Tata Motors and all these players, they have already rolled out the new prices right from the next day, front page ads were given. But this compensation cess problem that is there with the dealers is a very sizable amount and it cannot be ignored. So either basis the representations that these industries do, something comes up, but what I am aware of, this issue was also raised with ministry, but considering that compensation payments to state, etc., all those issues are already there, so therefore these might not be adhered to, or that request may not be allowed. Chances of that are there, you cannot deny that. So now what are people trying to do in these kind of cases? Because dealers cannot be hurt, right? OEMs have interest in their dealers. They have to retain their dealers if they want to do business. So people are exploring the option of sales return. So if, say, Tata has sold a car to dealer pre-change of rates, they are issuing credit note. They'll say, I'll issue credit note. I'll show it as sales return. And once again, when after 22nd September, I'll sell the same car to that same dealer. That way, the credit flows back to me, and he is sold a new car with lower rate without compensation cess. Now, tell me practically, during this period of last 10-15 days, already the stock that is lying with dealers is pre-ordered, right? When cars come, the customer is already waiting in line when the car comes. Now, during this festive season and all, when people have already lined up for buying cars, will it be possible or will it be practical, do you think, that the OEM is giving a credit note saying it's a sale return, जबकि वो गाड़ी उसके वेयरहाउस में, उसके स्टोर में आज भी लगी हुई है, उस गाड़ी की वो बुकिंग ले चुका है, उसके पास सेल इनवॉइस बन गया है. In some cases, customer must have taken delivery also of the car, because no customer wants to wait once the car comes, because there's waiting of 2 months, 3 months in certain models. And just to create, if you create a paper trail showing that I am doing a sales return and then issuing a new invoice, तब तक के हो सकता है कार बिक भी गई हो, or the car is still lying in the warehouse or the showroom. So what sanctity this sale return route has? What is left? Do you think department will not question this practice of issuing credit note? Other thing that can then arise is, like in, I think, pharma sector, they had come up with a circular earlier that when expired medicines are there, you can sell the stock back from the distributor to the manufacturer. You can raise a fresh supply invoice instead of showing a return. So this way also, in this case, invoice is raised with compensation cess to the dealer before the GST at old rate. Dealer will say, I'll sell it back to you. the car to you, and you raise a fresh invoice on me. Now, when there is a sale of products, let's say Tata from its Mumbai, say Bhiwandi warehouse, had originally made a sale to a dealership in Gujarat, and that was a interstate supply involving movement of goods. IGST was paid. Now when that dealership in Gujarat raises a fresh sale invoice on Tata Motors without there being movement of those goods, because it is not practically possible to bring the goods back from Gujarat to Bhiwandi and again move it back within a period of 5-6 days. So goods are there, but just to show paper trail, they are raising a fresh invoice on the manufacturer, again charging the same taxes, the old rate of GST, compensation cess, everything flows back to him, he takes credit, and new rates are charged once again after the GST rate change to the dealership. But when the dealer raises that invoice, he will be forced to raise it with CGST, SGST, because there would be no movement of the goods moving out from state of Gujarat. So the place of supply would fall in Gujarat. It would be difficult to claim Tata Motors have received goods with goods being lying in possession with the dealership, and therefore credit will become problem in the hands of Tata Motor. Earlier we were also thinking that, let's say this interstate case is not there. The dealership is in the same state, so he is able to raise sale invoice, fresh sale invoice on the OEM and charge the compensation cess. Earlier we were thinking this will still create a problem because it is not solving the problem of compensation cess. I charged compensation cess to him for the first time as OEM, created that cess tax which is entered the system now. When he uses that credit of compensation cess and charges again on the fresh sale made to me, again the tax, compensation tax routes back to me. His credit problem is solved. There will be no accumulation in his hand, let's say, for compensation. But again that cess which had flown into the system from my end has come in my hands as form of credit. And next, after 10 days when I'm going to sell the car, that cess is not going to be there. So how do the manufacturer again utilize that? That cess which is going to become a cost in the hands of dealer is now routed to become a problem in manufacturer's hand. Someone suggested from our community only, Kunal, don't worry about it. That problem will be taken care by the portal itself. For the first time, I was not able to conceive it, what he was trying to say. वो बोल रहा था भाई तूने जो भी करेगा सितंबर में ही करेगा ना, तू इनवॉइस इशू कर दिया उसको, you charged compensation cess, but you are not going to pay that cess till the 20th October. You will file return, you will show it as your output tax liability, and the other person, because I am going to file my GSTR 1, it is going to reflect in his credit ledger and he is going to take credit of it. Similarly, he will use that cess in the same month to pay that tax as a fresh sale to me. So therefore, that portal will take care of that problem automatically, is what I have been told. Whether it works in this manner only, I am not sure, but looks workable to me. Is it correct or this flow is wrong somewhere? Because the adjustment is going to happen in हाँ वो है, वो problem persists. Yes, that problem will persist. Correct. तो गाड़ी का मूवमेंट में क्लेम भी नहीं कर रहा हुआ है. नहीं, e-invoice, sorry, e-way bill, right? E-way bill. So e-way bill is by law. No, your question is 100% correct. And there is no problem in asking, because see, there are n number of problems which I must have dealt with 4 problems and come presenting in front of you. There will be other problems which I may not have perceived also from a dealer's end if I am dealing with OEMs. So your question is exactly correct, that what about e-way bills? There will be no movement being shown. And what we have also seen is, see, legality of e-way bill is when there is movement of goods. Government wants to track that when it crosses states, it should not be a case that there is no tax paid and the goods are moving. So e-way bill, which was a concept from VAT regime, has state VAT, CST, etc. that has moved into GST also now. But legally speaking, E-way bill is only for movement, person causing the movement of goods. When you are not even claiming that there is movement. So claiming movement is a problem when that Surat or Bhiwandi example is there. But when the goods are lying in Nasik and it has to be sold to person located in Bombay, he's saying I have not made movement of goods. I have made sale. So by law that person is correct. But department is not going to accept that. They are going to raise the same question which you have raised, that there is. Or before that, yes. No, no, no. Let us say you have tons of money. You are not worried about any money, you are not worried about marketing. I am talking about how to solve that problem of cess, which is going to accumulate at his end. Yes, let's hear him out. Correct. 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 100% correct. Correct. Yes. Yes. And customer is not going to pay over and above that price. Bear this cost. Yes. Yeah, same thing that has been happening in your mutual fund industry, your insurance companies. Unless and until government comes up with some notification, because this problem is not a small problem. Optics have been made so good to look that cars have become cheaper, companies have declared price reductions, but this problems at the hand of, it is a dealer who is getting crushed in all this tussle. So commercially you may be right, but his point is some a person, yeah, yeah. See, when you may look from investor's perspective. When you look from any investor's perspective versus when you look from a taxman's perspective, there is a lot of difference, because investor will not look at cost going up. He has to finally focus on your top line and your bottom line. But as far as that person who himself is bearing the brunt, वो बंदा बोल रहा है कि मेरा टॉप लाइन इससे भी ज़्यादा हो सकता था, ज़्यादा मैं मार्जिन बना रहा हूँ मैन्युफैक्चरर से, वो अलग बात है, बट आई कुड हैव अर्न मोर, दैट इज़ वॉट आई हैव प्लान्ड फॉर, दैट इज़ फॉर वॉट आई हैड डन द मार्केटिंग स्पेंड. So considering these things in mind, what you are saying is correct, but ultimately the bottom line is this: government will have to step in at some point of time to solve this. That is what companies are doing. No, companies cannot go back and face 100, 200 dealers. So therefore companies are calling back, you raise invoice on me. So these, correct. आपने गाड़ी लिया है क्या सर? अब भी ये आप बहुत इंटरेस्टेड पार्टी लग रहे हो मेरे को. So therefore he is not concerned. He is saying let OEMs not bear the cost. Yes. No idea. Yes, correct. So therefore I did not discuss also the rate, the reduction, etc. EVs, I did not put a finger on that. What I wanted to focus and elaborate the point of cess which was discussed earlier. So we'll skip the auto parts, more or less the same problem that comes in. Before closing, so there are a lot of sectors, but I think we are short on time, so I'll take one sector and I'll show you one interesting problem that has come in renewable energy sector. So renewable energy, so that is particularly your solar powers and your windmills, etc. This is something which the government has been from the first time Mr. Modi has been won the elections, he has been pushing for renewable energy sources. And when GST also came, we saw that there was a concessional rate of 5% earlier for sale of windmills, wind operated energy generators, and your solar panels, those PC modules that are imported from China. All these are at lower rate of 5%. Industry earlier, अभी इसमें क्या होता था, झगड़ा होता था. Suzlon, when it installs a windmill, it doesn't just sell that tar and nacelles and blade and that generator, because they have expertise also as manufacturers. They have engineering expertise to install that thing in workable condition and that hand over that entire wind farm. Windmill जो हमको दिखता है वो सिर्फ एक structure नहीं होता. Having worked on these sector, I know for a fact that there is a chain of equipments. जो दिखता है वो तो सिर्फ moving part दिखता है. उसके पीछे all that electricity has to be collected in a transformer. Transformer will convert it from DC to AC. That DC AC current, after converting and making it at suitable voltage for putting into grid, has to go to a substation. So एक substation के अंदर 3-4 windmills रहेंगे. ऐसा एक बड़ा windmill का wind park रहेगा, wind farm. So they install this also. अभी इसमें service element आ गया, goods element आ गया. Industry used to argue in both. Windmill में I think it is some 80% of goods. Solar में it is 95% goods. Industry used to argue the entire contract value should be subjected to a lower rate of 5%. Government used to take a stand. There is a service element involved in this installation and manufacture and sale of windmill. It constitutes a supply of works contract service because you are giving that entire bundled supply to your customers. Therefore, pay tax on the entire contract value of sale and installation to customer at 18% tax. There was a lot of dispute going on. Some players wanted to take 18%, treat it as works contract service. Some wanted to call it composite supply, not as works contract service. Some wanted to call it purely as supply of solar panels or solar generating system at 5% only. That time, advanced ruling authorities had taken various decisions. I think Fermi Solar was one of the Maharashtra AR case which came, which said that it's a composite supply where services are being part of that contract, incidental to the contract, taxable at 5% only. But other advanced rulings that came during that time treated it as taxable at 18%. Therefore, this controversy had to be solved by the government stepping in and providing a valuation mechanism. They said, forget about whether it is goods, whether it is service, 80%, 90% goods, don't worry about that. Take the entire contract value, goods plus service का, उसको 70-30 का rule लगाओ. मतलब 70% value will be treated as value of goods, 30% value will be treated as value of services, and pay tax at 5% on 70% value, 18% on 30% value. This was done at that time when 5% rate was in force. They changed the rate of renewable energy sector to 12% goods falling under renewable energy sector to take care of inverted duty structure and credit accumulation. Once again now that dispute or that problem is going to come to forefront because the valuation mechanism also, although they have maintained to 70-30, they have once again reduced the prices of components which are goods portion which is going to be used, especially solar generators, your wind farms, etc., to 5%. So again the whole dispute that started with credit accumulations at the end of these manufacturers has again once again started now. It will be interesting to see how people solve this issue now. इसमें और एक प्रॉब्लम तब आता है जब लीजिंग कंपनीज इरेक्टेड विंडमिल को खरीद लेते हैं and they lease it back to the same person, sale and lease back. This is a financing arrangement that we have seen. अभी जिसने सेल किया वो तो बंदा जिसने 70-30 का इनवॉइस आया होगा सुजलॉन से उसको, he will sell at that same value to me and charge 70-30% पे 5% and 18%. But when as a leasing company I am leasing those goods back to him, I don't have the option of 70% value of goods and 30% value of service. So there is going to be a major gap with this sale and lease back transaction in renewable energy sector. I think Gift City, maybe good business idea. I'll be definitely happy to come again. And this okay, ठीक है sir. I think we can discuss it once again. I think Vasa sir is also highlighting from back that let us wrap up. So before closing, I'll just point out to no problem. I just no. It's just a discussion, so no problem. So I'll just close with this one last point. I'm just shutting my laptop, so please don't fret at me. So we discussed about this shampoo and soap controversy. So I was one among those who felt a lot poorer when I first saw this notification. If there are some discrepancies, as Aditya ji also pointed out, shampoo's rate has been reduced with the same logic that he gave, that we want to give benefit to a larger audience. Conditioner जो है उसका भाई जो शैम्पू के बाद लगता है उसका, so this is also a different aspect. So 23 years of my life I did not know that conditioner is something, luxury or something that is used after a shampoo. Anything which had that hair wala picture on that shampoo bottle, I thought that is to be applied while bathing. So I treated conditioner, I thought it was some advanced kind of shampoo. So I never thought of it as differently. My sister used to have those two sections. Whichever one I saw, I used to pick it up and I used to use it. So after a lot of time, when I finally realized that shampoo is only for cleaning your hair and then conditioner is something which gives it that texture or nourishes your hair and etc., that is the first time I realized that, oh, these are two different things. And there will be a lot of people like me who still don't know that what is shampoo, what is conditioner. If you find that bottle with the hair strand on that bottle, you'll use it and you'll wash your hair. That's it. That is what it is with boys, right? So no one pays that attention. So what is the logic of having one product and the other one which is going to be so intricately used with one another differently? I think someone like me would have been that policy maker who would be taking revenge about all this scenario that he would not, for 25 years of life, he would not have known this difference, and suddenly he wants to show that difference. This is one, that kind of scenario. Otherwise, there will be a lot of these kind of cases. If you go through FMCG product rate list in coming months when clients come back to you, you'll find a lot of funny examples like these, that there is a rate reduction in one kind of category, but not flown to the similar kind of category in other segment. So I had a lot of other segments also to discuss, but I was very encouraged with the cross-examination and cross-discussions that were happening. And I think study circles should retain this sanctity, because it should, otherwise it would become like a lecture or seminar sort of thing. So I really enjoyed this cross-examination, this discussion, and therefore, because this can go on and on with respect to each sector. I have barely touched one point in automobile, barely touched one point in FMCG. So this discussion can go on for 4 hours and 4 days if we want to. But with the paucity of time, I take your leave and I close my presentation here. I am always open to any queries that are there. You can always contact me, and we can have discussion after the session also. No issues about that. Thank you once again for giving me a patient hearing, and your presence matters a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Kunalji. Now I request Bijal to give you well-deserved vote of thanks.
तो फादर-इन-लॉ का शू थोड़ा.
Thank you, Kunal. I would say it was a very interactive session throughout the session. So after an overview of the council decision in the first session, we went through practical implementation of all these amendments, which we are supposed to start from coming Monday. So it's just one day more for study with all of us. Like, enjoy your Sunday with studies, because from Monday it's supposed to be implemented. And he also took us through industry-specific issues and highlighting few sector-specific, along with his insights of how they are implementing in their own client case. With this, we are grateful for accepting our invitation, and I'll request you all to please join to propose him well-deserved vote of thanks. Thank you. We end the session.